And good afternoon, everyone. This is John with Pure Adrenaline Fantasy Sports. Once again, I'm joined by NFL Chaos with Jeremy. Jeremy, how are you this morning? You're out on the West Coast. How are you?
I'm good. It's even earlier than usual for me. At least it feels like it.
Right. Yeah, we had the time change. But let's get into it. Some things happening right off the bat. I had something else planned, but a report from Ian Rappaport came out just before we came on that the Saints and Panthers have made offers for Deshaun Watson and are likely to meet with him soon. Sources told him and Tom Pelissero. The other teams are also involved. Watson has a no trade clause, so he is going to meet with some of the teams. And Jeremy, what do you think of Watson? The news with the grand jury on Friday, and then do you think he does get traded, and will he play this year?
I don't know if he's going to play this. I think he'll play this year. I don't know if he's going to play from game one. I mean, now that it's a civil suit, it changes things because he could go on with it now and not have the case completely resolved, but still, like, what if there's going to be any kind of punishment from the NFL? He could serve that punishment or that suspension or whatever it is, and then start playing, even though the civil case is still going on because it's not a criminal case. So I definitely think there's a good chance he'll be playing. I think those are two good landing spots, with the exception. I mean, New Orleans does seem to have some cap issues, so it's going to be interesting to see how they can pull that off. They're going to have to cut loose a lot of players, and restructure a lot of contracts for that to be possible. Carolina, I'm not sure. I mean, I know they're already paying Sam Darnold about 17 to 20 million because they picked up his option. So for the first year, that's a little bit of an issue. But then he's gone. So as long as Carolina might have to be pushed up against the cap, but I don't know that they're having as much issues as New Orleans.
Right, and I just looked. Let me share it up on the screen here. Oop, sorry. There we go. I just looked. Actually, the Saints. I don't know how the cap works. I don't know how they make all these moves. But the Saints still have $6 million. They have to free up just to get under the cap. So I don't know about that. Let's take a look at the Panthers. The Panthers right now are just about $29 million under the cap. I'm not sure what. Where are the Texans? Why am I not seeing them? Oh, right there. The Texans, his salary number, let's see, guaranteed salary is $35 million. Cap number is $40 million. If he is traded, it looks like the team that takes him on will have to pay $24 million of that this year. And what's left of it? He's still under contract until 2025. So you are getting a guy that's under contract, and the numbers are they go down actually. 23 they go up to 42, but then they go down to 37 and 32. So his cap number goes down. So if you got the room this year, everybody's got tons of room next year except for the Saints because they're. It looks like that's what the Saints are doing is pushing everything till next year. But apparently teams can just keep doing that without any penalty. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up. And like you said, if he does actually play the full season. Let's see here. Deshaun Watson. Oops. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, I thought you said something.
No, it's interesting because eventually that's going to catch up to the Saints.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually.
Well, I don't know. They keep. I mean, every year they're in cap trouble, especially the last 2 years, and they just keep pushing it. I mean, if the cap keeps going up, I mean,
maybe they keep just riding the wave of the cap going up, and maybe we're going to look back at it years from now and say they were brilliant.
Yeah, and also according to Tom Pelissero, multiple teams are willing to pay 3 first-round picks for Watson. I personally would not do that. That is way too much. Your thoughts on would you be willing to give up 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson?
I mean, I guess it depends on the team, and it depends on how much you value, character and things like, and variables like that. You could be a GM that says, look, if he can perform, it's not my business what's going on in his personal life. There are GMs that don't feel that way. That I know the Jets are very character based. Also, I don't want to judge the guy. I wasn't there, so I don't want to try to judge somebody completely. I think if he comes back and plays the way he was playing, the rest of his career doesn't have any more problems. He's still young enough to play a lot of years. He's extremely talented. And that seems to be the correct value for a quarterback based on what we're seeing going on in the league, what people are trading for, what people are giving up to get a quarterback. So I don't know if I do it if I'm the Jets, especially with Zach Wilson there. I definitely don't. I mean, if I have a young quarterback I'm excited about. But if I'm a team like Carolina, my back's against the wall, in the situation they're in, and they have the cap space. Especially if I'm that coach, it's a shot. You take a shot.
Mm-hmm.
You try to save everybody's job there in that organization because it's been a catastrophe. So maybe you make the move.
Yeah, agreed. JPA football there, one of the Twitter pages I follow. 24 hours until free agency begins and all hell breaks loose. Yeah, I was being a Jet fan. I was really excited for this free agency. I believe we have about 48 million in cap space. But some of the guys I wanted got franchise tagged, so that kind of took some of the joy out of it. What are you looking forward to in free agency?
Oh, it's just exciting, man. Like, where are the big names going to go? How is it going to impact the teams? I know as a Jets fan, there are some players that if we pick up, it could get really exciting. Like I have guys I really like on the offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
There are some guys out there, some interior offensive linemen, for example. And if the Jets would assign one of these top guys like Daniels from Chicago or Laken Tomlinson from San Francisco, just as a Jets fan, I know it would be super exciting because it was like all of a sudden it would look like we had this substantial offensive line, which could change the entire offense of the team. Allen Robinson, I'm sure that Jet fans are not the only fans that are naming the same players that they'd like to see come to their team. So it's always an exciting time of year. It's like waiting for the news on Monday. It's just always really, really a lot of fun. They might call it a tampering period, but we all know that things get announced during those days of what's going to happen officially during the week. So it's just good times.
And that brings me back. Tampering does start on Monday, and the deals aren't official until Friday or Wednesday at 4. But we've seen in the past where a deal has been announced and then a player backs out. So guys, you got to be careful of who you're listening to, and because not every sometimes a player backs out. Anthony Barr a couple years ago with the Jets. Yeah, so I don't know. I really don't expect that to happen again. That seems the only time I can remember. But some of the other moves, some of the offensive line you talked about, Saffold from the Titans got released, so he's free to sign with anybody at any moment. But yeah, player I like is Laken Tomlinson from the 49ers. But needing guys with the Jets being rebuilding, do you want to stay younger or do you want to sign a guy like Tomlinson who's already 30? And what kind of deal do you give him?
You see, so as far as the age, you also have to consider position. I think offensive line. I mean, we had a guy in the league on the Super Bowl on the Rams, right? It was 40, who's played forever. So, you look at that guy. You look at his track record of how often was he injured? Was he injured? His reliability factor. This is a guy to me that has, probably maybe. I mean, it could be more, but a minimum of 3 really good quality seasons left as being very effective with positive. That's a minimum. I mean, this guy might play till he's 36 and be really effective and top of the league until he's 35 in that position. I would be looking for, and hoping, like, to me, perfection would be like a 3-year contract, 50% guaranteed or 40% guaranteed, 3 years. So you have control of them for 3 years at whatever price you agree to if you want them for the whole length of the contract. And I'd be comfortable with that in that position. If he was a running back or wide receiver, not so much. But for a guard, just based on what I've seen as a fan in my lifetime, I don't think 30 is as old, for a guard as it is other positions.
Yeah, and some of the other things, I know Jet Twitter blew up yesterday after Amari Cooper gets dealt from Dallas to Cleveland. Some Jet fans were going crazy that they only gave up a fifth and they swapped sixth. But I kind of agreed with your take that you don't pay Cooper that $20 million a year when his production's not that great. What you had those numbers? Can you share those with us?
Yeah, I mean, the last 4 years, I mean, 'cause there's different ways to look at it. You could look at it as it wasn't about what you traded. It wasn't about the draft capital at all. Otherwise, we would have done it. It was about the $20 million a year. And it's nothing about is Cooper a good football player and would he make your team better? It's $20 million. I haven't gotten to the point yet where $20 million shouldn't get you an elite player, meaning very reliably that you're going to get a certain amount of production. So if I'm paying $20 million for a wide receiver, I want I want to expect or think that they're going to get 10 touchdowns plus 2 digits. I want to think that I'm going to get over 1,100, 1,200 yards. I'm going to get 85, 90 receptions. I mean, for 20 million, I think that you'd have the right to expect that. Because to me, 20 million for a wide receiver is still elite. And now Cooper, if you go by last year, he had a decline. Even though he played in 15 games, he only missed 2. He only caught for 860 reception yards or 867 reception yards. So he was under 900. He got 7 touchdowns and about a little under 80 receptions, or 68 receptions, I should say. That is not the numbers you need to see for a player you're paying 20 million. And even if you want to say, okay, it's one-off year, if you look at his past 4 seasons, okay, so now you got a 4-season average the last 4 years. He is under 1,000 yards, 973 yards. And this is for a guy who didn't have a lot of injuries, so it's not an excuse. Slightly under 80 receptions and only averaged 6.75 touchdowns in the last 4 years. So that's under 7 touchdowns a year. It's under 1,000 yards per season per year. And it's under 80 catches. Now, do I pay 12 million, 13 million for him? Absolutely. He'd be a great weapon for our team. We could use a guy like that. 20 million? There's a big difference between 13 million and 20 million. A $7 million player, for example. And in this free agency, with all the cap problems teams are having, the non-elite players are going to be sitting there. And $7 million is going to go a long way.
Right. With that, once they made the trade, they had granted permission to Landry to seek a trade. Is he somebody you might be interested in? I just looked him up. He's at 16 million.
Yeah, the problem with Landry is he's been declining. He's an older receiver. It depends on who you are as a team. I think Landry is more of a final piece to the puzzle. Maybe 1 or 2 years, help put you over the edge to compete. So if you're a team that doesn't have the cap issues, that's close, and could use another receiver, I think that's the right move. If you're a young team, if you're like the Jets or Jacksonville, and one of these teams in a rebuild, it doesn't make sense to me to bring in a guy that's not going to be there long term. I'm not looking for a guy to help me win 8, 9 games next year, 10 games instead of 7, and then be gone. I'm looking for young guys who are going to be around for the entire rebuild.
Yeah, I agreed there. Let's take a look here. I did have something else. Landon Collins was talked about getting released from Washington. I don't know if that's still the case, but the Jets are also in need of a safety. He's 28 years old. If he is released officially, is that somebody you guys would want to go after?
Yeah, for the right price. Yeah. Again, he's a little bit older, but Safety, that's a position where you can get 3 good years out of him. It's a high position of need for the Jets. And it is also a guy, I think, like, again, he might fall into that tier where if he doesn't go for the elite money, there might not be anybody that can pay him. So I think it's going to be like, I think there's like, it's almost like when you think of society and you say, oh, we're losing the middle class. Like that's what might happen in the NFL. Like there might be very rich contracts and then very disappointed players with disappointing contracts. This is why I think that whenever this contract expires, the players union and owners, the players union is going to want a huge change in this, because this is setting up to be you're either getting crazy money, but the players that are going to be taking up so much of the payroll for teams, there's not going to be a lot of money to go around. And I know Collins was really good, but in the beginning of his career, but he hasn't been as impressive. And I don't know how many teams there are that are going to be able to pay him that middle tier value. He might actually, he might have to settle for less money than he's worth, just based on, we're giving guys like Amari Cooper $20 million.
Yeah, I have the wide receivers up on the board, up on the screen there. I'm not sure if you can see them. Guys that have either re-signed contracts or been tagged are already have their new teams on them. But who are some of the guys you're hoping the Jets take a look at at the right price? And do you think they could re-sign Crowder or Cole to come back?
I don't think they're going to go for Crowder and Cole. I think they're going to put their attention to Berrios. I don't think Crowder's going to be interested in coming back. I mean, it depends. I mean, I don't know him personally. He personally might love the locker room. It probably stung him when we renegotiated him and restructured him last year. Although I got to say, there was nothing unethical about it at all or wrong about it. I mean, we paid him $20 million of the guaranteed contract we initially signed him for. So he was not wronged in any way. Joe Douglas did the smart thing and restructured him because he wasn't worth $10 million anymore. But still, his agent and he might be saying, okay, let's look for someone who's willing to pay more. I would have no problem with Crowder coming back if he came for the right price. Same thing with Cole. If he came, Cole, though, would have to come back at a much smaller percentage guarantee, because depending on how we draft, he might be fighting for a spot on the roster. So I wouldn't even know or guarantee that Cole would have a top 5 or top 6 wide receiver spot on the Jets anymore if the Jets go after free agents, if they draft and the way they approach free agency. I guess I'm looking at this, and there's no one that – I guess Allen Robinson is the most intriguing or interesting free agent left, as far as if the Jets try to fill the void through free agency.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, and I would say that would be the reality for a lot of the teams out there that are looking at wide receiver. I think he's going to be somebody everybody's looking at.
Yeah, and the last couple, I don't remember if it was off seasons, but anytime he's been a free agent, he's been rumored. Our Jet fans have wanted him, so we'll see if he comes over. I personally, any of the guys that are on the list here, I probably would kind of shy away from. There have been, there's not really a rumor because we don't know if it's true or not. But what about a guy like DK Metcalf from Seattle? Looks like Seattle might be going in the rebuild mode. Would you be willing to give up draft capital for Metcalf, who's, I believe, only 24 or 25 years old?
Well, I wouldn't be willing to give up completely our top 2 picks. If you told me second rounder and a 4th rounder, or second rounder and a 5th rounder, something like that, I'm not going crazy. Like, it's a painful trade. It's like kind of like when we traded up to get AVT in the draft last year. It's painful when you have to give away capital,
right?
Because that's a big price. I mean, because there's going to be a lot of guys in the draft around that time that at least a lot of us believe in. Like a lot of us that look at film, and there's a lot of like hidden treasures that are in the draft. But it's hard to also argue about how exciting it would be to have a guy like DK. I don't know if he's fully being like his potential has been seen yet. I don't know if we've seen his ceiling of how special he could be in the league. So it would be, as painful as it would be for whatever capital we had to give away, it would be equally as exciting to see what he could be with Zach Wilson, lining up next to Corey Davis and Elijah Moore. That would be an exciting wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm. And just take a break here for a second. Guys that are watching, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments about some free agents or who your teams are, let us know in the chat. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Also check Jeremy out over at NFL Chaos with Jeremy. We're not leaving yet, but Jeremy, just give out your channel information while we got some people watching.
Okay, it's NFL Chaos with Jeremy, just the way it sounds. NFL Chaos with Jeremy on YouTube. I give away a lot of stuff. That's part of the fun of the channel, and part of the chaos is we've been giving away packs of unopened football cards from 1989. I got baseball sets, lots of stuff I got to get rid of. I'm running out of room. My wife won't let me hold on to all this stuff. So using it to help build up the channel, to make it fun for the viewers, to show appreciation for those who support me. So hit the notification bell and sub to the channel and get messages and find out, when I'm going to be giving away fun things. Join the fun, join the chaos. Looking for, fans of other NFL football teams to join us and give their perspectives of their teams and, join the conversation.
Yeah, and it is a good time hanging out. Yeah, you do a lot of mock drafts right now during the off season, so that's always fun to get everybody's take on what direction their team should go in, especially the Jets. A lot of Jet fans hanging out with you. So, but yeah, let's keep looking at some free agents here. The Jets definitely need some offensive line help. Let's see, we need right guard. Are guards interchangeable? Can they play left and right position? Or is usually like the Jets have Vera Tucker at left guard. So, I mean, should I bring up some left guards as well?
I think that you can. There might be some that can't. I mean, I've never heard of it. I've never heard of a player not being. I mean, they have preferences, but I've never heard of a player not being able to play either side or adjust to either side. And I'll tell you, if we got a player, or there was a player out there that had a reputation that wasn't willing to or wasn't able to, they wouldn't be the type of player our GM would want, because we like versatility. And you got to be versatile enough to play either side at a minimum.
Yeah, another player on the list there. I haven't heard any rumors about any contract offers, but Duvernay Tardif, who the Jets traded for last year, I would like them to bring him back. I don't know what it would take. I don't know if he'd want to be a backup or a starter. What can you tell us about Tardif?
Well, if he's willing to compete for a job and accept being the number one backup off the bench, I want him. Would be great. It would be a great problem to have, to say we don't have a spot for LDT to be on the field. That's depth, and that's what you need to start building a championship team. You need a deep roster. Offensive linemen go down all the time. So, and LDT knows that, right? So it would be very unlikely that we go the full year without him getting real playing time. Just being realistic. Whether it's a game here, a game there, he's going to be a contributor for any team, whether he's the starter or whether he's the first guy off the bench in this league. And it's a valuable piece to have when you lose an offensive lineman and you have the next guy up that can come and do the job. So I want to see him return. Obviously, it's all about the price and what other teams are willing to pay him. But I would love to see him on the roster for the Jets. And I think any team, if you're in desperate need and you don't have the cap space and he's the one that comes at the right price, he is a very, very able and capable starter as well.
Gotcha. And there was you had brought up James Daniels before from the Bears. He's only 25. I don't know why they're letting him hit free agency, but what would you think about adding Daniels as well?
I would be absolutely thrilled. Two things I love about him. I love his age. As far as his talent, I mean, his talent is obviously there. He's a good, really good, solid guard. The age is great, and his versatility. He can play center, which is huge for the Jets because, McGovern's in the last year of his contract. Depending on what we do in the draft, we could free up $9 million in cap space. If we had Daniels and then ended up taking a Lindstrom, even a Lindenbaum, you never know what the Jets are thinking because JD doesn't say anything. But Not that that's what most of us are rooting for, but if he ended up taking him, it would open up that possibility of, hey, we could take Lindenbaum and free up $9 million and have cap flexibility. And I guarantee you, at the end of the spring, there's going to be a lot of good players hitting the market that are going to get cut.
Yeah, agreed. I know another position of need. We're kind of turning this into Jet talk, but that's okay. Another position of need for the Jets is safety. So let's pop them up on the screen as well. Now, there are some Jet fans that would be willing to take Kyle Hamilton at 4 if he's there. But for free agencies, we have May, who probably won't want to re-sign with the Jets. So what direction would you like to see them go in?
Look, that's just another, like, if we win that, if that's, it's about what teams have to decide. What are you going to try to fill through free agency, and what holes are you going to try to fill through the draft? Right. This is any team. Marcus May to me is worth a 1-year prove it kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a lot of issues. He's facing a suspension for drunk driving. His agents did not do him any favors in reputation. And he's coming off a serious ankle injury. And for that position, for any position, but definitively safety, coming off an Achilles is a scary thing. It's like, I wouldn't want to commit anything beyond a year to this guy. And so I think any team that's interested in signing him has got to keep that, on the top of their minds. Now, Marcus Williams is going to be a win for anybody who signs him. If you need a safety, it's a position of need for my team. Any team with the position of need that has safety on the list, I'm sure those fans would love to see Marcus Williams or Quandre Diggs, would be a good option as well. They definitely fill the hole right away, day one.
Yeah, and like we said, the Jets do right now have $48 million in cap space. But are you going to give a guy? I know he is only 26, but are you going to give him I don't know what it would cost, maybe $16-17 million a year, or a guy I like, Edmonds from Pittsburgh, also 25 years old. You might be able to get him on a lesser kind of deal. So what other positions of needs do the Jets have?
Oh, the Jets, man. So they obviously need linebacker too.
So let's take a look at some of the linebackers. Bobby Wagner was released, so he's available to sign with anybody at any time. Hitchens as well from the Chiefs. Those guys are 30. Hitchens is 30. Wagner's 32. I know Wagner does have some connections with Saleh. What would you think about bringing a guy like Wagner in?
Well, if Wagner came in, it would be on a short-term deal to be a mentor for the guys they have in the room. I don't see him at 32 as part of the future for the Jets, so he's not really the best fit from that, in that sense. Although he's a guy that might have 2-3 years, he's one of those kind of quality players that might give you something. But I think he's better for a team that's closer to be in contention. Like, I could see him trying to think of like a team that, a Tennessee, maybe Kansas City, because if they're losing Hitchens, maybe they want to grab him. I just see him going to a competitive club that's ready to win right away, and be that piece that they can add on to help get him over the top.
Yeah, we really didn't talk about. I know we did talk about some receivers before, but some guys maybe not. We talked about Robinson. How about a guy like Christian Kirk from Arizona?
I think that's a good WR2, that you're bringing into your room. And I don't think it's bad for teams to have. There's different ways to do it, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with having 3 WR2 type players, like 3 players that might not be considered elite to be wide receiver ones, but be all 3 capable of getting that 800 to 1,000 yards per season, 7 to 10 touchdowns. If you have 3 guys like that, that could be as good as having a really good WR1 and an average WR2, but to have 3 really strong WR2s, especially, a lot of this would depend too on who your tight ends are. So if you have a stud tight end, you definitely can get away with that. And even a running back, if you have a running back that catches a lot of passes, it can help you get away with that. So it just depends on how you're building your team. Like, for example, from the Jets' perspective, we don't know if Elijah Moore is going to be a true WR1 or if he's going to be a WR2. The ceiling is definitely has not been seen yet because obviously he's only had his rookie year. It would tell me if we went for a guy like Kirk, which is just good for the room overall, that we might go high, top 4. One of our top 4 picks would possibly go to wide receiver because we'd be looking to make get a big impact guy. So it's just information. If you sign a guy like Kirk, that means I would assume that means we're going to take a wide receiver early in the top 40. If you bring in a guy like Robinson, that probably means you're not going to see your team take a wide receiver early, unless you're a team that has nobody and that's your first guy, and now you're looking for another big guy or another big impact player. Impactful player.
So once again, free agency officially begins at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, but teams can start negotiating noon tomorrow. But another position in need for the Jets is tight end. Some of the guys I was interested in, Idoku from Cleveland, Dalton Schultz from Dallas, Seki from Miami. I would have been happy with any of those guys. All got franchise tagged. But so on the list here of tight ends, is there something you would bring in?
Now, this is the one area I'll go against the grain or curve that I've been talking about. This is the one spot where I wouldn't mind a short-term deal, one year, or maybe some extra guaranteed money and penalty if we cut him the second year, and it's Zach Ertz. And here's why. Even though I know Zach Ertz wouldn't be there long-term, tight ends, even really good ones, do not hit their first potential their rookie year. So even if the Jets draft a top-notch tight end, we can't expect them to be that target, or I don't think any NFL team could expect them to be that number one tight end you're hoping for year one. If you look back, at any tight ends and look at their careers and you look at their first year, it's never looks like what they become. And Zach Ertz, there is a level of support that, like, on the Jets, for example, that, or even if you're the Bears, or if you have one of these young quarterbacks, if you're Jacksonville, he's a guy who can help your young quarterback. So from my perspective as a Jets fan, I don't know if any rookie tight end is good enough to support and give the support that a young quarterback needs, or that Zach Wilson would need. A guy like Ertz would be a great best friend, like a great weapon, a great guy to have out on the field. And then you have your young player who's developing step up into that role the year after, but at least for a year, to have a veteran very trustworthy, great hands, leading, kind of like a leader, really just solid tight end. I think Ertz is a really good pickup for a team with a young quarterback.
Yeah. So once again, lots of positions in need for the Jets. Free agency will be exciting. Jet Twitter. If you're on Twitter, make sure you follow Jet fans on Twitter. Because about 50% of the fan base is split, no matter what the move is. 50% is going to love it, 50% is going to hate it. But let's take a look here. Let's take that off the screen. Do you have a show tonight on your stream, Jeremy?
I do. I'm doing my dual draft with Dom C. That is a draft where we take turns drafting after we've already built up free agency. And Dom C already sent me his PowerPoint of using his offseason simulator. So he already has his players re-signed, players cut, and free agent signs. And we're going to look at that information and base our draft off of that.
So if you don't mind, we still have about 20 minutes here. I'm going to set up a mock draft. I'll let you make the picks. we'll do the Jets here. If Sean was here, I'd add the Vikings. If Peo was here, we'd do the Rams. I know you just did the mock draft with Peo, the LA Rams YouTuber. How did that go?
Well, it's still going because the Rams haven't gotten on the board yet.
I know the Rams' first pick is like pick 105 or something like that. So that's funny. But let's take a look here. I'll add this to the screen. Make it a little bigger so we can see it. Close this down. We'll pick the Jets. We'll go 7 rounds and we'll draft. Now, let's see here. Hutchinson, Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver, goes 2 to Detroit.
Wow.
Thibodeau goes number 3 to Houston. So we got 2 trade offers here. But before we do that, let's look at who's on the board here. There's still Neil, Hamilton, Sauce Gardner still there. So here at 4, if this is how it goes, which direction would you go in? And do you want to see the trade offers?
I definitely want to see that Eagles trade offer.
Okay. Eagles are offering pick 15 and 16 to move up to number 4, and we give them pick 69 as well. Your thoughts on that one before I show you the other one?
Oh, that's as tempting as that is, the ask of 69, the pick 69 is absolutely ridiculous. Even at pick 4, getting 15 and 16 they might point-wise should be offering us even something next year, believe it or not. I know if you look at the price of moving up to 4, what that would cost you last year and other drafts, that's not a good offer.
Right. Okay. So before we do anything with that, let's look at this one. We have the Saints wanting to move up. They'd be willing to give 18, 49, 137, and a second next year. Do you want to take either of these, or do you want to counter either of these?
No, I think I'm going to say no to both.
No to both. Okay. Let's reject both of those. And which direction are you going?
I'm going to take I don't know how free agency is going to go, so I'm going to lock up Ekwonu.
Ekwonu, number 10 right there. So we'll take Ekwonu. Tell us a little bit. That jumped down to our next pick already, but tell us a little bit about Ekwonu. They have him listed as offensive tackle. Is he versatile? Can he play at other positions on the line?
Yeah, he's the perfect fit for the Jets because he could play guard at an all-pro level. He'll probably be extremely effective immediately. Probably better than AVT, which is saying a lot because we love AVT and he had a great year for us. So right away, we lock down, we take care of that guard position. But even better is if George Fent goes, if we can't pay him or if he leaves for any reason, we have Ekwonu ready to just step in and switch over and be a Pro Bowl level tackle. If anybody gets hurt during the year, he could move over. And then, like we were talking about before, if we find a guy like LDT, he could step in at guard. So it gives us a lot of versatility and a lot of talent, no matter where we put him. So he's just a great fit for the Jets.
Great. So that'll help build that offensive line. Keep it pretty young too. So we got some more trade offers here. We have 3 trade offers. Tampa Bay is offering 27, 60, and a second next year to move up to 10. We have Cleveland wanting to swap picks here, 10 to 13, and giving us a second round pick next year. And Chicago wants to jump up from 39. Give us 48 and a second and a third the following year. Any of these that you're interested in?
Yeah, I would take the Cleveland deal.
You would take the Cleveland deal straight up, drop down 3 picks and get the second next year?
Yep.
So let's accept that. Let's drop down a couple positions. Trayvon Walker came off the board. Kenyon Green and Jordan Davis came off the board. Now we're at 13. Have two more offers here. We got Chicago again at 39 and 48 with a second and third next year, or Arizona at 23 and 55 and a third next year to move up to 13. So dropping down 10 spots.
Let's see.
And we can look to see who's on the board yet too.
Yeah,
we got Olave from Ohio State still there, the receiver. Cross. You just took offensive line at 4. But Booth from Clemson Williams, a receiver, Linderbaum, a center. Quarterback, you could go Malik Willis. What do you think?
I think I'm going to let's look at that trade again, the one where we go down to like 23.
This one here. Arizona will give us 23, 55, and a third next year.
Huh. It's not the best offer in the world, but it's not horrible.
We can counter here if you'd like to do something else.
Ask them for their second instead of their third.
Second instead of their third for next year. Let's propose that. They declined it.
Okay, I'll take their trade offer.
You'll take their Arizona's trade offer, moving us down to 23, but picking up another second round pick. So that drops us down to 23. Let's see who came off the board here. They jumped up. They took Booth, the corner. Penning from Northern Iowa. Man, I've been watching some of his tape. He has got a nasty streak to him. So if you need an offensive lineman with some attitude, here's your guy right there. But then the Eagles go Chris Olave at 15, Charles Cross at 16. Green Bay takes Williams from Alabama, adding a weapon to their offense. The Saints get Willis at 18. The Eagles take linebacker Lloyd at 19. Pittsburgh takes Howell from North Carolina at 20. The Patriots take Stingley at 21. And the Raiders take Ajabo, the edge rusher, at 22. Man, getting Stingley, the Patriots getting Stingley at 21. I remember when mock drafts first started coming out, he was a top five pick. They have New England getting them there at 21. So the Jets are on the board at 23. We did take Iquanu at 4. So which direction are we going here?
We're going to keep building in the trenches, and we're going to take Jermaine Johnson.
What do you like about Jermaine Johnson?
I like that. Aside from just power and strength, he has the bend I look for, that incredible balance. That even if his upper body is being pushed, he can control his lower body, stay up, keep driving and pounding forward. And get the angle he needs to get to the quarterback. He's also a really good run stopper. He reacts fast, so like for screen passes, he's not an over pursuer. He's able to change direction and help out in that regard as well.
So let's take Jermaine Johnson there. Bunch of other offers. Let's get rid of that. Let's see here. Who came off the board after London, Elam, Linderbaum, Pickett to Tampa Bay. They have Tampa Bay taking Pickett there at 27 when they took Kyle Trask last year in the second round. But Burks goes 29, Leo 30th. Jaquan Brisker, who I really like, they have him going 31 to Cincinnati. Detroit taking Nakobe Dean, the linebacker, at 32 to end the first round. But then Zion Johnson, the guard, goes to Jacksonville. And Lewis Seen, or is it Sign, goes to Detroit at 34.
Okay.
So let's see. We do have a trade offer. We got Dallas wanting to trade up one spot for a 7th-round pick next year.
Sure.
So accept that. They went Winfrey, the defensive tackle from Oklahoma. And then we have 2 offers on the board. Denver wanting to jump up to 36, but give us 64, 75, and 96, and a 5th next year. And Baltimore wanting to jump up 9 spots and give us 45 and 76.
Ooh, kind of like that.
And we can look to see who's still on the board here. So far, we have taken Iquanu, versatile offensive lineman, and Jermaine Johnson, the edge rusher out of Florida State. So where are you going with this pick?
I'm taking that trade. Jump with Baltimore.
Baltimore. So let's pick up another pick here. Except dropping down 9 spots and getting another pick. But that we do have pick 38 here. So the Rams want to jump up and give us a bunch of picks. They want to give us pick 104, a 2nd, 3rd, and 4th next year, for 38 and a seventh. Dallas is seventh next year. Or we have, well, that's going to be a no. I know you're not going to trade with New England.
Kick hands, yeah.
Yep. So it's a lot, and it's a far way to fall down. But any interest in that Rams trade, getting all that capital for 23 draft?
Nope.
Okay.
Not interested. Not interested.
All right, reject both of those. So let's see where we're going here. We got running back still at the top. Man, I know where I would go, but
27, Trent McDuffie. Okay.
What's that?
No, I was just curious of who got picked right there, but that's fine.
Oh yeah, Trent McDuffie.
Yeah. What am I doing with my next pick? You might wonder. I think we need to grab Trey McBride.
Trey McBride with this pick 46.
Tight end, best tight end in the class. I would be thrilled if he was still there at this point.
At 38. So we'll take McBride there. All right. So 2 more trade offers. Denver wanting to come up from 64 to 45, giving us 75 for our 163. Or, well, I know you're not going to trade with the Patriots, even though. Any interest in the Broncos trade?
Nope.
All right, let's reject. And before I reject it, any interest in that trade? Gaining pick 85 to drop 9 spots?
Nope, can't do it.
Okay, reject as well. So far we have taken Aquanu, Johnson, and McBride. Even if we didn't have another pick, I would, as a Jet fan, I would absolutely love that draft. But let's keep looking here. Which direction you going in here at pick 45?
I would want to. Well, yeah, I'm not going to mess around and lose my guy at this point. We're gonna run and we're gonna grab. You even know already, Christian Watson.
Yep, agreed. I would agree with this pick as well. Man, could you imagine if this is how things started to fall? Pick 55 here. Green Bay wants to jump up from 92 and give us a second rounder next year.
Nope.
Reject. So once again, let's look. We took Aquanu, Johnson, McBride, and Watson, building up a nice offense now. And where do you go with pick 55?
I think we're gonna have to look at the defensive side of the ball.
Okay. Any particular position?
Well, we want to look at linebackers, and I right away I see on the board Christian Harris from Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Glad that he's there. That's a gift. We just grab him and get him in that linebacker room.
Okay. Dropping us down to pick 69 with 2 offers on the board from the Raiders and Browns. Browns want to move up 9 spots to drop to 78 and give us pick 98, and they want 146 back. Any interest in either of those trades? Raiders want 125 and 3rd and 4th next year.
First, I want to look and see, is McCreary still there? Cornerback?
I do not see him.
Okay, so we lost out on McCreary. Okay, that makes it easier to consider a trade. What about safety? Let's see who's there in safety.
Let's go safety. McKinley's the first name on the board, ranked 93rd.
Yeah, but we got Kirby Joseph still up there too. So there's a bunch of guys there. Let's consider the trades now. We can go there.
Raiders wanting to jump up to almost 60 spots and giving us a couple picks next year.
Yeah. Nope.
Let's see. We do have a comment here. Let's see. Sean. Hey guys, sorry I missed the stream this week. Be back Thursday night for sure. Hey, thanks for watching our live stream, bud. Oh, that's funny.
I'm just trying to imagine like him passionately changing the tires on a mini car.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm faster than Kirk Cousins. Okay.
Hopefully more accurate too. Hopefully more accurate.
I like this trade offer from Cleveland.
You like this one? Dropping down 9 spots and picking up another top 100 pick here.
Sure, I'll still get the guy I want anyway, so why not?
Accept. So that drops us down to 76. And where are we going here? No trade offers on the board.
Let's look at the big board. So we got another pick coming pretty soon.
Yep, in 2 picks. So right now, the top guy on the board is Isaiah Spiller, running back from Texas A&M.
He slept.
Mm-hmm.
Decisions.
Let's see. I don't know how accurate. I use this site for mock draft simulators, but I don't go by their team needs. Do you think the team needs are accurate? Well, for the Jets, they are safety, linebacker, corner, edge, and tight end. So I would say for at least the Jets, they're pretty accurate.
Yeah, we need everything. So I'm gonna say in this situation, even though there's a bunch available later, it's very hard to look the other way and not grab Isaiah Spiller right here at running back, because I think that there's a lot of people that would argue he's the best running back in the class. So this guy could very well become, a very. I mean, they already have a really good running back in Carter. We know that that in this league, if you want running backs to last more than 4 or 5 years, it's good not to give them too much of the load. The scheme and the Jets, taking the West Coast offense and San Francisco's philosophy wants to spread the ball around and have different running backs. And Isaiah Spiller is just too good to pass up here, in my opinion.
So let's take him. We got another pick coming up in 2 spots also, but we have a trade offer. Chargers want to drop one position, or want us to drop one position, give us pick 160 for Dallas's 7th next year, or the Rams want to trade again, offering 104 and a third for 78 and 163.
That's not a very good offer.
No, it's not. But how about the Chargers offer?
Yeah, what are we going to do with 160? But does it really hurt us to trade down a spot?
And trading away a pick that's not yours, really, anyway, giving up Dallas's 7th next year.
Yeah, I'll take that. I don't think they're after anybody I care about right now.
Accept that trade. Then we have more offers. Man, they took Sky Moore. They jumped up 1 spot and took Sky Moore, the wide receiver.
Yep.
They want to jump up again from pick 122 and a third, 79, or the Cardinals at 87 and a fourth for 79 and 163 this year.
I don't like either of those offers. Just aren't reasonable to me.
Okay, reject. So let's take a look at what we took. You went offensive line, and then you went edge in the second, or with the second pick in the first round. Went McBride at tight end, Watson the receiver, Christian Harris the linebacker, and you added another running back to the mix. So where do we go at 79?
We got to look back to the safeties.
So let's go defense, go safeties. We're at 79. McKinley, Kirby Joseph is still there.
And what picks do we have after 79? What's our next pick?
79. Our next pick after that is 98.
Okay, then we're okay there. Let's look at the overall board. Let's look at the big
overall board. Okay.
Start thinking.
We are at the top. Bell is at the top. Nick Bonino, another edge. Ferguson, another tight end, still there. I haven't done much. I know the Jets need linebackers. I haven't done much research on them. Do you know anything about Walker from Georgia?
He's pretty good. There's other guys I like better. Anyway, a little bit later, I think there's some sleepers. We already took Harris, so I'd rather go later on another linebacker that's more of a sleeper. Because we do have CJ Mosley still for another year. We have Quincy Adams. We have, we're not, once we add one key player to that, we play a lot of 3-5-2 kind of thing, or 3-2-5 kind of thing. So I could see Christian Harris with Mosley on a lot of plays, and then Quincy Adams would be fine. And then I kind of have in my mind a lot of potential guys to compete with Quincy Adams for those snaps. and then be a future. I like Alec Lindstrom here. I say if the draft fell this way and we had the extra picks, it's a luxury pick, in my opinion, to be able to grab him. But you grab Alec Lindstrom, you have your center of the future.
So that drops us. Jake Ferguson went the pick before us, the tight end from Wisconsin. But that drops us to 98, where Washington Commanders want to give us 112 and a fourth next year. I don't like that trade at all, but I'll let you decide. But then we have the Titans who want to give us 130, 143, and a fifth next year for 98 and a sixth.
Nope. No, thank you.
To both?
Yeah, tell them about to kick tires.
Okay. So that puts us at 98. Here we still got the big board there. So the positions you've taken are offensive line, edge, tight end, wide receiver, linebacker, running back, and a center. So I mean, you're building not only good depth, you're adding great talent to the team as well. But where are we going with pick 98?
Oh, we're gonna look at safety now before some Jet fan sees this and sends me a hate mail.
Well, so we did lose somebody. There was somebody on the board before that you wanted, McKinley.
Yeah,
Joseph is still on the board.
Yeah, I wouldn't forgive myself if now that Verone is gone, I don't care what the matchup to how they have Kirby Joseph ranked. We need to get our safety. Kirby Joseph could be the steal of the whole draft. With all the talent we brought on, this might be the steal. Grab Kirby Joseph.
Kirby Joseph at 98. So that drops us down to 110. Let's go back to the big board. And I don't, for the needs that they had us listed at, we have filled those needs. So we've added another running back, right? Yep, we did. We've got Spiller at 76. So what are you looking to add here now that you filled all the needs?
Well, I'd be curious to see who's left in the cornerback position.
Cornerback. Let's take
a
look
at the cornerbacks to see if there's any hidden gems there.
Goodrich is the highest rated, 116.
Nope. Don't see anybody. Okay, how about let's look at the linebackers again.
Linebackers.
Oh yeah.
I think I know who you did that for, but
yeah. Well, there's two guys I like now.
I really like Chanel from Wisconsin, but I don't know if that's who you were talking about. But where are you going?
I wouldn't grab him here, and I wouldn't be upset if we got him. But I have fallen in love with Troy Anderson.
Troy Anderson from Montana State. What are you loving about Troy Anderson?
He's one of the smartest football players I've ever seen as far as football IQ and instincts. He played quarterback, running back, then switched to defense, was the defensive player of the year in the entire conference that he's in. He is the fastest closer I've ever seen. So this speed on this kid is just outlandish. And he knows it's not just speed. He knows what to do with the speed, like his instincts. He closes space. So you'll have a receiver on 3rd and 4 catching a pass where it looks like there's no way you're going to get to him on time. And he closes the gap so quickly. He makes tackles behind the line of scrimmage. He always makes his tackle. He never misses tackles. He's deceptive. Again, he has that deceptive speed. He's strong as an ox. He goes right through blockers. I think he might be the steal. This is another complete steal. This is everyone's going to kick themselves. Every team in the league that doesn't take this kid is going to kick themselves.
So let me take Anderson there. That drops us down to 116. Patriots, you're definitely not trading anything with the Patriots, correct?
Correct.
So let's reject that. Okay, so we're James Cook just came off the board. That's the brother of Dalvin Cook from the Vikings. But where do you go? What kind of piece are you adding now?
I'm going to look to back up that tight end pick and see if we can get another tight end in the room.
Let's go tight end. Man, some good names still on the board there. A guy that seemed to fall, Charlie Kolar. I know once again earlier in the year when mocks started coming out, he was definitely higher up on the board. But who are you liking here?
Yeah, the problem with Kolar is his draft stock keeps sinking. Like in each opportunity he has for it to go up. He didn't do himself any favors lately, like the Senior Bowl or combines. There's nothing he's doing to help himself, and that's concerning.
Gotcha.
I kind of like Lucas Kroll, but I don't know if he might be too early to take here. So I would say go back to the big board and let's just maybe there's a wide receiver we can steal here. Wow, is that Justin Ross?
Justin Ross, pick 87. Yep, over 87th ranked from Clemson.
Wow, that's kind of strange. Wow, I have him. I think you have to take him. I think that's just insane.
Says he's 6'3", 205, big wide receiver there. So, man, just adding another.
I think if he was there, you just have to throw him in the room. Value, best value in that draft position.
Gotcha. So let's take him here.
I mean, he was the best offensive player for Clemson.
Oh, let's see here. Before we look at this, let's look over here. We have 2 picks left here, both pretty close, 160 and 163. But we do have a trade offer on the board. Chargers again want to move up. Give us 171 and 194 for 160 and a 6th rounder next year.
Nah.
No.
Okay. I don't want to give up our 6th rounder next year. We need our 6th and 7th pick next year. I'm tired of watching players, waiting from the 5th round to the end of the draft and
hoping somebody doesn't get drafted so we can sign him as an undrafted free agent, right?
Yeah, I just hate that that JD has guys on his board and he's watching. He has to watch 64 picks. That's painful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
let's reject that. And where are we going with pick 160?
I think we need to go back to that tight end board. See if he's if anybody's still there. Well, Trey Berry is the best value in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard good things about him. Let me see. A lot of people are talking about Jelani Woods, though, aren't they? Look at him down there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I thought I've heard good things, and they got him projected at 297. But man, do they have any information on him? No.
Just for kicks, let's just grab him.
Woods.
Jelani Woods, why not?
Yeah.
See if he ever pans out. I mean, there's a lot of good things I'm hearing about him. So,
and this will take us to our last pick. Pick 163 is the last pick, but Tennessee wants to drop us to 169 and give us a 219.
I'll do that.
I was going to say I would do that too, because with doing that at pick 219, I would take the best available kicker at 219.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. That gives us an extra pick to take a kicker and bring some competition into camp.
But at 169 here, who do you want to add to the room?
Definitely want to look at safeties.
Let's go back to the safeties.
And he's sitting right there, Quentin Lake. Let's just grab him.
Quentin Lake, yep. So a whole round goes by here. Oh, the last pick in round 6. Okay, 219. So do you want to go kicker here?
Yeah, let's take our kicker. I go back and forth on this one. Honestly, I think that Cade York is more battle tested.
Mm-hmm. So
I usually take Cade York here.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So let's let this finish and then take a look at the overall. So we took Aquanu at 4, Jermaine Johnson at 23, McBride at 38, Watson at 45, Christian Harris at 55. Spiller, we're still sitting there on the board at 76, so you grabbed him. You add another center with Lindstrom, Kirby Joseph, the safety, Troy Anderson, the linebacker, who you absolutely love, Justin Ross, the wide receiver. You add another tight end in Jelani Woods, Quentin Lake at 169, and Cade York at 219, adding to the kicking competition, and you also added a second and a third round pick to next year's draft. Your thoughts on that mock draft?
I think if this happened in real life, we would be doing cartwheels and flips. No Jet fan that would watch this. If I did this on my channel, nobody likes or agrees on every pick, and I think they get hung up on that too much.
Right.
Maybe you should have done this and you should have done with this pick. But if you step back from it and you didn't see the process and someone just told you this was going to be your draft, if this is not going to happen. Like, this is a wildest fantasy if this happened. I mean, look how many starters there are on this list.
Right.
Potential starters and impact players. This would be a dream come true. And I'm not patting myself on the back. A lot of people are having these kind of drafts with the simulator that are just probably not going to happen in real life. So anybody who says they wouldn't take this right now at this moment over what's going to really happen, I think has to be out of their minds. It's just like you said, just getting Aquano, Jermaine Johnson, Trey McBride, Watson, just those 4 picks, we already won.
Right.
And then when you talk about Christian Harris and Isaiah Spiller, now you're going to make all these other rooms better. It's just out of control. Kirby Joseph and Quentin Lake in the safety room. You got your future center out of this draft. I mean, Troy Anderson is just one that everyone's going to have to learn about. Like, we're just going to, he'll answer all your questions. If you're like, who is this kid? You're throwing a dart. He'll answer the question, because if you go up and you look Troy Anderson up on YouTube and you watch his 9-minute video of him playing quarterback, running back, and then it flips over to show him as a defender, I don't see how anybody doesn't fall in love with him.
Gotcha. So, man, this hour flew by. Thanks for joining me again. You always seem to come on. Like we said before, you have a live stream tonight. Why don't you tell people about that again and give out your channel information and your social media information?
Okay, at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight is my draft mock duel with Dom C. Extremely knowledgeable guy. Turns us on to a lot of great players. And there's also, in about 10 minutes, I'm going to release Chaotic Moments, which is basically a highlight of a past Wacky Wednesday show. So every Wednesday night, I do a wacky show. I have a guest. I team with my friend Adam. It gets a little crazy. John, you were the week number 2 guest on that show. And the Chaotic Moments from last week was actually that episode. It was the highlights of that episode. This week, that's going to come out in a few, literally in like the next half an hour. And then, of course, we'll be back on Wednesday night with the Wacky Wednesday show. And don't know who the guest is at the moment, I don't think. I got to look at my emails and see, because I get volunteers, but still to be determined guest on Wednesday night.
Gotcha. And once again, thanks for joining. Guys, we'll be back Thursday night. Like you saw on the stream, Sean said he'll be back Thursday night as well. So we'll be talking NFL free agency, see who our teams got, maybe do some more mocks. So guys, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell, and we will be back Thursday night at 7.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, John.
Thank you.